Is this thing on?
I am Queens.
Hi everyone, my name is Alyssa, and you are listening to the All Things Pelvic podcast, where you get to follow my life as a pelvic floor physical therapist. That may sound a little boring, but real quick, let me break it down. I bring up topics that most people find difficult to talk about, but maybe it's time we get comfortable with discussing the uncomfortable. I always strive for real talk, good vibes, and mostly all things pelvic. Join me and my guests as we discuss healthcare, culture, and real life topics. Are you ready? Because it's time to take a page out of my playbook. What up? Okay, things are a little bit things are a little bit different today. My friend Hannah is with me. Han, introduce yourself, hun.
Hi, everyone. First, Alyssa, let me just say, I feel like we are back in high school, like doing some sort of school project, like for Spanish class or English class. Like, this is giving me those, like, late 2000 vibes with, like, I don't know, podcasts for modern day.
You just aged us a little bit. Late 2000s. Oh, God.
You didn't say early 2000s.
Yeah,
that's probably
that's
more
true.
accurate.
That's true.
But hi everyone, I'm Hannah. I am one of Alyssa's oldest and best friends. We've known each other for over half our lives now. We've been through a lot, and by no means am I an expert in the subject that we're going to talk about. While I have a lot of experience, if expert means that you're good at it, and if I was good at it, I don't think I'd still be single.
Okay, so with that being said, our topic at hand, and why we're doing things differently today, is dating in quarantine. And I had to, and Hannah saying knowledge, more so lack thereof on both of our ends. There's definitely a lack of knowledge happening here because we are very single. But I had to bring this up. I swear I've been talking. I talk about dating like it's my job for sure, but especially dating in quarantine, right? There's a lot happening right now amidst the pandemic, and Hannah's just been my kind of go-to girl. I mean, she's been my go-to girl for a really, really long time, but I think that this year especially, I have been going to her a lot in the midst of the dating world. We were actually also supposed to record this episode last night, but some things happened in the single world last night. Hannah, you want to take over that one?
I was busy basing my reality in false reality because I was busy watching The Bachelor, which was obviously more important than talking to my best friend about dating. I'm totally kidding. Liz, you want to tell everyone why you're free tonight?
Okay, so and honestly, I really did feel bad about sealing Hannah away from The Bachelor, so another reason why we are recording tonight instead. But I am free because I was actually ghosted, well, partially ghosted by this guy. And the reason I say partially ghosted, now, for anybody who doesn't know what ghosting means, because I actually mentioned it to a friend the other day, and they were like, what? And I was like, oh my God.
Lucky person.
The luckiest person in the entire world. I was like, you don't know what ghosting means? Are you kidding me? So they don't know what it means because they've pretty much like never been single. So there's that. So ghosting is when you're kind of talking to somebody for a little bit and then all of a sudden they just don't answer you and they say boo bye and they're out of here and that's it, and then they just leave you hanging. It's honestly like one of the worst things that I think people can do. However, I have done it, but it's more so because of if somebody just treated me bad, whatever it was, right? So I had been talking to this guy maybe for, it was just been like a week and a half. Now I'm definitely on the dating apps and stuff, and seems like such a sweet guy in general and everything, and then he just didn't answer me for the entire weekend. And like we were supposed to go out tonight. Today's Tuesday, right? And we're supposed to go out tonight. And then he answers me yesterday, and it was just like happy Monday and all this stuff, and I'm like, what?
I hate people that like say happy day of the week, unless it's a Friday, because I am happy on Friday, but like no one is happy on a Monday.
Yeah.
Not one human being is like, fuck yeah, Monday. Oh, am I allowed to curse?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You can say whatever. You can say whatever you want on here. Don't worry, whatever you want.
Okay, so I guess it's not a school project anymore. Noted.
Yeah, this is not one of our high school projects. You are good. You are good.
Okay.
No, so I was just like, my dude, what? But the thing is though, so this is what I've also learned. Amidst quarantine and the pandemic, you also have to be like a little bit more patient with people, right? So then he did kind of explain to me what he was doing over the weekend. You know, he was like, I was with my family, you know, it was like my mom's birthday and all this stuff. And I was like, you know what? Like, okay, I can understand that. And I also don't want to judge somebody too quick when I haven't met them in person yet. So that was like another thing too. I was like, you know what? Sometimes people open up a message and they don't, you know, and they just don't respond to it right away. Whatever it is, they can forget about it. I'm definitely guilty of that. However, I'm very much so giving this guy huge benefit of the doubt because that is who I am and I'm trying to be nice about it. But we have now pushed our date to next week, which is fine, which I'm more than fine with. But I thought that I was getting ghosted, and that is also my PTSD of dating because that has happened to me a few times.
I mean, I think you make a few good points. Like, yes, you have to be patient with people, particularly with the past year that we've had. We're like coming up on that 1 year anniversary of when at least New York City shut down and seemingly the rest of the world. But also, let me tell the listeners, Alyssa's a lot better of a person than I am. I'll just put that out there. She's a lot nicer than I am. She's a lot more understanding of people than I am. So, like, I can't say that I have never ghosted anyone, but also during the pandemic, it's a little bit easier to lean into that. Not just when you like don't want to go out with someone, and I guess maybe it's not ghosting, maybe it's like when you lose the vibe or whatever. And we can talk about this, how like there are certain things when it comes to dating where like I'll want to just be mindful. There's a lot of other factors to consider now than I think previously before the pandemic that I didn't really think about, like seeing my family and making sure that I have enough days in between that dates. Because like if I'm kissing someone and he's got the germs, he's got the COVID, like I don't want to bring that home, and I want to make sure that like I have enough time to have those symptoms develop if there are any. Fortunately, I have not had COVID over the past year.
Right.
But I will say that I do think it allows you to lean into the excuse of the pandemic, or at least I've done this as a savage trash human being, that like you can be like, oh, like I can't see you anymore because I'm seeing my family for X, Y, and Z, so I'm just not dating anyone right now because of the pandemic.
Sure. No. And honestly, like, don't get me wrong, that's completely gone through my head with some people too. So now, you guys, as much as I try to be, you know, myself, and Hannah did say I am a good person. However, I have my, you know, I have my moments just like anybody else, right? Just like anybody else. So I think you're completely right. You know, I think it was very easy to do that, right? To say like, one, is this person like important enough for me to, you know, for me to maybe go and see them or to do else, because of everything amidst this, you know, it's like I with my parents and my sisters and my family and stuff, there were always times where I was just like, like, should I be going out with this person? But I think that it just brings up a point too of like, you even brought up like kissing and stuff, right? So one of my friends was like, wait, so do you like kiss people like when you go out and all this stuff? And I'm just like, well, if I want to, you know, I'm like,
hell
yeah, you know, I mean, it's like, and I do want to just say, like, Hannah and I are two people that have been very safe during this pandemic too, right? Like, you know, we're not just people that have just been like going out, doing whatever we want, you know, and
we're
all
not
this
making
stuff.
out with everyone in New York City.
Exactly. I do want to make that point just to make it known, you know, but there was also a point during this where it was kind of like, oh my gosh, we kind of still have to like keep things moving though, right? And while being careful, while being careful with it. So, okay. I told this friend that asked me this, I was like, you know what's funny? I go, I know when somebody's gonna kiss me because they pull down their mask. And
Oh
she
my
was
God, yes.
and she was dying because she goes, hold on. So there's not even that like spontaneity of like that, that initial like first kiss. And I was just like,
Nope.
to be honest with you, I go, I kind of liked that. Like at one, I now know I'm like, oh, like you're interested? Like, are you interested in me? But then it's also kind of like, if I wasn't interested in somebody and then they did that, I kept my mask on. And I was just like, well, this
Yep.
ain't happening. Sorry.
So to that point, again, just to reiterate what Alyssa said, we have both been very safe. Like I mentioned earlier, I make sure that I'm not seeing anyone really in my family that would potentially be impacted by the decisions that I'm making. I live alone, so the way I see it, if I'm going to go out on a date with someone and therefore make sure that I am taking the necessary precautions afterwards to make sure that I am not transmitting COVID, I'm going to be open to a kiss or two. And it's funny, my college friends, because I have been going on dates here or there, and I like to call it a seasonal dater. I go through my phases, and this was not even just in the past year, but like I tend to perk up during football season in terms of dating. I don't know what the correlation is. I do love football, so maybe it's that. And then again around like February, March, and then it chills out around the summer because like I'm busy doing me. Anyway, over the past year, my friends have started to lovingly refer to me as a hovid, a COVID
I remember
hovid.
when you, oh, I'm sorry, say it again.
For going on dates and like still exploring it. But to Alyssa's point, like as a 28-year-old single female, like I need some sort of like affection, and intimacy. Yeah. And like going on dates is flattering. Talking to people, you can only talk to people for so long. But to the mask point, one, I totally do the mask move too. We're like, I'll pull my mask down to let them know I want to, like, I'm gonna go in for the smooch also. Like, it works both ways.
Totally, yeah.
But there's a time when I was walking on the street and I did the mask move and he leaned in for the kiss but still had his mask on. This is literally on the corner of 72nd and 3rd, and like I pulled the mask down. He came all the way in. He's a very tall boy. It was a journey from where he was starting down to my mouth, but like he fully made the move, but like I kissed his mask. Needless to say, that was the last time I saw him because that was just very bizarre to me. But like it's one of those things that you don't even think about. Like you literally like, I mean, I don't know.
I'm not well. I just can't. I can't.
Yeah, I didn't tell you that.
Yeah, you did not tell me that. Oh my God.
I kissed a mask.
Yeah, you like actually kissed a mask. So, okay.
Yeah.
So for my experiences, there have been like 3 guys where they've definitely just like kind of, they pulled down their mask and I was like, cool. All right. Like I was about it, right? And I was like ready for that. But, okay. This happened actually recently. This happened like 2 weeks ago. This guy pulled down his mask and I was just like, okay, like thank you for dinner. And then that was it. And I felt really bad, but at the same time, I was like, you know what though? Like I shouldn't, like if I'm not interested in somebody and I am going to go see my family and all this stuff, like I kind of don't want to waste my time with that, right? But
yeah. It's like the modern day version. I mean, I still do like the head turn. Yeah. Like when you hug someone, you like turn your head like a full 90 degrees because you're like, get as far away from my mouth as you possibly can.
Yep.
It's that plus an added layer of protection. It's a face condom.
What? An actual face condom. Wow. 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 Kind of want to name the episode that, but I don't know how that'll go over.
That would be hilarious.
But something just came to my head, and I actually have no idea. I don't remember who told me this, but I remember I was like appalled because, okay, obviously spontaneity is something that, you know, a lot of people are attracted to, right? Especially if like a kiss is spontaneous or whatever it is. But oh, I wish I remember who told me this, but I'm not sure if it was like the girl. No, it was a girl, definitely. I think it may have been one of my patients, actually. And she was telling me how when she went on a date, this guy pulled down her mask.
Fuck no.
Yeah, I know. And I
Don't
was
touch me.
like, yeah. Well, first of all, there are multiple things happening there. It's like, one, like consent. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, you pull down my mask that's gonna let you kiss me. One, what if I didn't want to kiss you? Two, COVID.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like there are like multiple things happening there where I was just like, that is so wrong in like all forms that I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
And he may have thought that it was just like a swift move and like maybe she would have liked it, but at the same time, I feel like you still during this time what I've learned is like a lot of patience and like you can't just do that with somebody. And I think that that's actually been a big game changer in dating during this time because of that too, because of like all the things going on. I think people learn to I did at least. I think people have learned to become a little bit more patient with certain things. Like I don't know if I ever told you this, but I used to have a rule. This kind of started last year when I like got back on the apps and stuff and where I was kind of like I want to meet somebody within like a week or two.
Yeah.
Like I always think that that's like one of the best things you can do because I always hated talking to somebody for like a month and then you meet them and you're like, what is this? You know, like you're just like,
Yeah, like I don't need a pen pal. I mean, I know I'm being a hypocrite right now because I do have a pen pal, but like it's having a pen pal, it's entertaining, but like if you're looking to meet people and if you're looking to meet the one, you have to go out on dates.
yeah,
You have to meet them in person. So like I've had so many guys ask me out on dates. I'm not trying to say that, but like the guys that like we match, we say hi, hello, where are you from, blah blah blah. Like it's like a few exchanges. When are you free this week? Like I will always go out with that guy for the most part because that's interesting to me. I'd rather get to know you in real life than over text. I don't think people can really be their true, genuine selves if you don't know what someone sounds like, looks like, if you're attracted to them. Like, that is so, so, so important. So, just having a pen pal, while I think it's heightened in the past year, it's also easy to get some of that, like, intimacy and attention that I think people crave.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have and it's flattering, but like for what purpose does it serve
yeah.
you?
Exactly. And I think that, you know, I used to have that rule all the time, but of course it changed now because there were even times where I was just like, oh boy, I'm seeing my family this week, so I now need to not see, you know, this person for however long. And then that brings in FaceTiming. I think FaceTiming, and I know how you feel about this. Yeah, I know how you feel. However, I
I
feel
called
the
Alyssa
opposite.
once 3 months ago and she was like, are you okay? You never called me. And I was like, I didn't know it was that serious. I like we talk all the time. Yeah, no, I am not a big fan of the phone. FaceTime, I've warmed up to it because I've been forced to, but
Yeah, but okay. So I'm like a FaceTimer for sure, like with friends, whatever it is, right? Like if I think of somebody, I'm like, cool, let me FaceTime them, let me send them a long voice note about my life, and like that's what I'm gonna do, right? And I started FaceTiming, you know, with guys in when did I start dating again with quarantine in June, May or June, whatever it was. And I loved it because it just like I got to see what that person was like, you know, at least a little bit. You know, we were able to have somewhat of a conversation and stuff. But a really funny thing that I always saw on the internet was that people were you know, guys or girls or whoever, they were buying people dinner, like sending them a Venmo to like
I'm
order
down for
food.
that. I'll
Yeah,
FaceTime
and I
anyone
thought
if they're gonna like seamless me some pasta.
totally, and I
Sure.
thought that that was like such a cute, you know, it's at least something to show like here, I'm putting in some effort for you. This is what I want to
That's
do.
sweet.
Yeah, and I did it with and this is actually very funny. So one of the guys that I did it with, I was like, oh my God, this first date is going to be amazing. You know, I was just like, yeah, after we video chatted, like, I really, really vibed with him, right? And ended up not liking him at all on the first date. So he's definitely somebody where when he pulled down his mask, I was like, nope, no, 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 no. And then this other guy who, when we FaceTimed, and also he just like, he's so confident, which like, at first, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like it that much. I was kind of just, but yeah, I was like, you know what? He's trying. He wants to take me out. All this stuff. I still like this Joker. So there we go. Right? It's just like, it's like it. You know, somebody like that then comes out. And I remember when we FaceTime too, I was like, oh, he seems really nice. Like, let me just see how it goes.
Right.
And then that's that. So sometimes your perception of somebody is so different. Like you just said, like meeting somebody in person. Like my perception of this guy on FaceTime was different than how he was in person. How he was in person, like completely different ball game. And I was like, oh, this guy's dope. Cool. And that was that.
So I did have one FaceTime date. And maybe this contributes to the reason why I do not like FaceTime dates. But like, first of all, I spend all day on Zoom. So, like, I will preface it by saying I'm not a Luddite. I don't hate technology. I just look at people through a screen for like 10 hours of the day. And then when I do, I like to FaceTime with my friends or whatever, my family. So I did have one FaceTime date. It was around June, I want to say. So, like, in the beginning of the pandemic, for like the first 6 months or whatever, I was primarily living at home with my parents just because everyone thought that like New York City was like crawling with germs. And also it's like lonely living alone in isolation when like people are afraid to go to the grocery store. And like, I'm fortunate that I have a great relationship with my parents. So like, we also live very close to the beach, and I have my friends like Alyssa and our other friends who were able to, have our own little bubble. But matched with this guy on the apps. We did have a FaceTime date. I texted another one of my friends who I know had several FaceTime dates, and I was like, do I have to put makeup on for this? He's like, yeah, Hannah, treat it like it's a real date. And I was like, okay, well, like, I'm still gonna wear like pajamas. Like, it's a tank top. It was fine. It was the summertime. But like, I'm not gonna change my clothes, put on like a dress, a ball gown over here. But like, I'll put some makeup on. We had a FaceTime date. It was like fine, like neither here nor there. But to Alyssa's point, like it's really hard to like get a feel for a person over video chat. Also, like first dates are awkward, no matter what.
Yeah,
the first dates are like, they're funny, they're hilarious. I think they're great and entertaining, and they build up your repertoire of stories, but they're always a little weird. So doing that virtually when like you really don't know the person, you can't pick up on like their body cues or anything like that. So I agreed to go on a second date with him, and like, I don't talk about dating with my parents like at all. Like, they know it happens, obviously. But like, it's not like in high school I was this like, I mean, Alyssa, you could tell the crowd. Like, I was not dating people in high school. I was too concerned about not getting into college to worry about boys. But I drove all the way to a park in New Jersey for like our first in-person date, and like, nah, the vibes were not there.
Oh, I remember this.
I was like not about it, and I was like, ugh, now I have to. First of all, I spent more time in the car getting there and back than I did spending time with this Joker. But to your point about the mask situation,
you've been hanging around me too much. You just said Joker.
Oh my God, I know. We need to. I've seen Alyssa a lot in the past few weeks.
I'm sorry. Yeah, continue.
So we were in the parking lot about to go our separate ways, and like I hugged him goodbye, like did like the 90-degree head turn, mask is on, like all the body signals, like do not kiss me. And then I drove what ended up to be 2+ hours home in traffic. Again, not great. And like, I look at my phone, and he said something like about how he like wished he kissed me or wanted to kiss me. And something about that was just such a turn off to me. Like the description of it, I was like, no, no, like, like I'm not into this at all. So, all that to say that FaceTime dates are an idea for some people, not for me.
Yeah, and listen, I get it. I completely get that. And I think it's because listen, I had a bad experience with it. Where then I went out with the guy and he was not what I thought, whereas like this other guy I FaceTimed, I ended up really liking. So it's like you never know when it comes to that, but there have been plenty of guys where I've definitely FaceTimed them and I'm like, nah. Like I can't even talk to you on here. How am I supposed to now talk to you in person, right? And that kind of like for me where I was just like, oh man, like I don't know how I feel about this, right? Oh gosh. Yeah. So
I'll also say though that like just on the topic of dating during a pandemic and FaceTime dates and in-person dates and all that, I do think it's very telling that like the match for you will be on the same page as you are. So like if you love FaceTiming, then they're also going to love FaceTiming. It's going to flow naturally if you're conversing virtually or if it's in person. If you're not into FaceTiming, then like the match for you isn't going to be the person that like is always trying to hit you up over FaceTime and doesn't want to go grab a drink with you, get to know you in person. Like I think that one of the silver linings, I guess, if I'm going to think about pandemic dating in a positive light, is the fact that like your dating style, the person that or the people that you go on dates with, there's some sort of alignment there.
Yeah.
So like if there's a mismatch off the bat, communication style is so important. And I think that communication style is heightened during this time.
Totally.
And use that phrase, but like it's true.
Yeah.
And like you have to have communication styles that mesh, because like if you're the kind of person that like just wants a text or some sort of response or engagement like once a day and then you're good, then that's for you. If you're the kind of person that like thrives off of 2-hour FaceTimes and can do that once a week and like that's how you feel comfortable building a connection, then the match for you is also going to like thrive off of that or give you that.
Yeah. No, and I definitely had communication on the list of things that I wanted to bring up because I think even for me, for myself, that has been a huge one during this time where I even kind of evaluated myself a little bit, where I was just like, I was laid off for a while because of the pandemic. I had a lot of time to be in my thoughts and to figure out
in your feels.
Yes, very much so in my feels, and to figure out like different things that I want and different things that I guess more want for my life. A big part of that is dating too. I kind of had a lot of time to reflect on things. Like there was here's a ghosting story that leads into communication, right? Okay. Here we go. So, Hannah, probably more than a lot of people in my life that I put a lot of people first, right? I put a lot of people first before.
That's why you're a better person than I know. Yeah.
We actually had this conversation this morning because of something. So, oh God, I'm gonna get emotional. I tend to do that, right? I tend to do that a lot, and
it's one of the best things about you. It's a strength and a weakness, but.
Ooh, blessing and a curse.
Why people love. It's true. There's no one I know that's more loved than Alyssa.
Oh, Hannah. Well, don't make me cry. Oh my God. I'm just getting over my period. Stop it.
This isn't the episode for that, Alyssa.
Yeah. We won't talk periods today, guys. That's another episode for sure. But I have learned about myself, right? Like there was definitely, oh God, a big situationship in my life. Before this previous guy, and lasted for years, years,
Yep.
because like I always put him first, like I always put him first. Kind of thought that I couldn't do better, and that's probably, first of all, one of the worst things you could ever think in dating. Never think
Mhm.
that. That's already my first piece of
Mhm.
advice, is that you can't do better. And I'm not saying that you should think that about the person that you're dating, like, oh, like, let me just see what's on the other side. Like, if you're happy, you're happy, and I think that's a beautiful thing. But if you are not happy and it is a toxic situation with what
Mhm.
I was in, then
Mhm.
know that you can do better.
If
And
you're
that,
always feeling on edge and nervous and anxious, then like
yeah,
something's not right.
yeah, know that you can do better with that, right? So I'm not saying if you're in this happy, thing, and like, just, there's a bump in the road, to think that that there's better. Like, no, that's very different. But if you
Mhm.
are in that thing that has not gotten better and that it's not going to change, like, do yourself a favor and like take those mixed signals, and just like a no, and like keep it
Mhm.
moving and go from there. I literally just took that from a meme. I just realized that. Wow. Quoting memes. I'm quoting memes now. That's good. That's good. That's great.
Make
Okay.
sure you put in the works cited
Yeah. Yeah.
bibliography of our book report.
Exactly. So this guy, before quarantine, we had been seeing each other for like 3 months or so, right? So it was kind of the mark where it was like we were ready to meet each other's friends and families, and it was good. There was still part of
Mhm.
me that was kind of just like, I'm I really really like him, and I'm willing to see where this goes, but there's still a part of me that's like, like, I'm still not too happy with like our communication. Like, sometimes he would go like a full day without talking to me, and like that would kind of bother me, because I was just like, we're about to meet each other as like friends and family, and like that's how we're
Mhm.
still, that's what we're doing right now. But I never said anything. How is he supposed to know if I never say anything?
Yeah.
So, how is he supposed to know that? So, granted, I'm not fully blaming this on myself, right? But this was kind of like the reflection that I had. I was like, I should have said something, like right off the bat.
Mhm.
Like, I should have said, like, listen, like, when you kind of just don't hit me up for a day, like, I kind of want you to. And I think after 3 months, that's a valid thing to say to somebody, like, especially if you're really into each other and stuff too. So then,
100%.
yeah, I met his friends. We had a great time. We were playing video games. Like, I thought I had fun. Like, I had a
You're
good time.
such a nerd.
I was such a nerd. I had a great time. And then that weekend, I didn't hear from him. Did not hear from him.
Mhm.
So I'm just like, oh my God, did his friends not like me? Like what
Right.
maybe happened with this. So then he texts me that Monday. So we went the entire weekend, and I was like, oh my God, what the hell? And I just assumed that I was being ghosted. Just
Yeah.
assumed it. Which I think is a fair assumption. So then that Monday he texted me, and he was like, "Hi, sorry. So this week, this
Your
weekend,
face right now is so funny.
what, I'm imitating him?
Alyssa's got a stank face on
Oh
right now while she's relaying this text. Sorry, go ahead.
God. So he texted me. He was like, "Hey, so I just needed some time to think about things, and I decided that, and especially after seeing somebody from my past this weekend, that I don't know if we should continue things." And I was just like, "Hold on, what?" I was just like so confused, because I was like, first of all, where is this all coming from? Like, you did not tell me
Mhm.
that there was somebody from your, I mean, obviously nobody knows that like you're going to see somebody from your past and it's going to be
Right.
this thing, but what, like, it didn't make any sense. And I was just like, listen, like, I get seeing your ex and like seeing somebody from your past and like feelings coming
Mhm.
back, but I was like, I really think this came out of left field. Like, I was like, I don't know what's going on, but can we just please talk in person? And
Good for you.
he never answered me back.
What a
Yeah.
dick.
Until
Uh,
oh, there's
uh,
more. There's more to this saga. The month later hits me up. I was just like, "Hey, I really want to talk to you about everything that happens. Like, is there any way we can meet up?" And I was like, "Listen, like, we can get coffee,
uh-huh.
or something, but we're not going on a date. But I'm happy to meet up with you and hear you out, and I hope everything's okay now." And that's what I said.
See, that's Alyssa being a better person than I am because granted, I think you at that point probably wanted closure. It was still relatively new.
Yeah.
Um,
And at that
like,
point, I'm
right.
curious. I'm just
You're
curious of
curious.
like what you have to say, you know?
Yeah, but I think for you, like having known you for as long as I do, you're also like, are you okay? Do you want to talk it out? Like Alyssa immediately goes into like therapist mode, physical or mental. So like I understand why you were open to entertaining a conversation and going out of your way to meet up with someone who would hurt you.
Yeah, definitely. And I kid you not, Hen. I know you know the story already, but he, then I gave him options of when I was free, and he didn't answer that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give him the benefit of another millionth doubt, right? And
No doubts. No
yeah,
doubts given.
God. And I texted him like a week later and I was like, hey, like, did you still want to meet up and talk or like what's going on?
Hey,
And
you still
nothing.
value my time.
Yeah, like radio silence. And I was like, all right, this is insane. Like, this is insane now.
Right.
This is done. He reached out to me after quarantine. Now, if you could see your face right now, if you could see your face, I was like, first of all, your shit is probably dry. Leave me alone. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I actually didn't answer him. So now, one thing to know about me, if my future husband is listening to this right now, I will answer you back. That is one thing about me. Like, you can hurt me. You can hurt me bad, and I will answer you back. That's actually a very much so something about me. So if you pushed me to the point where I am now not answering you, something's wrong. Like that's like genuinely something is like fully wrong, fully wrong. And I'm not happy about that at this point. And yeah, and you know, like even like my birthday was last week, like you reached out for my birthday and stuff, and I still didn't answer. I'm just like, I don't think you deserve my time, you know? So that was a big thing. I was like, you know what? Let me reflect on this. And this was kind of the whole point of the story. I was like, let me reflect on this and let me figure out things that I could have changed, right? Like you live and you learn from these things. Like instead of dwelling that entire month on why he ghosted me, you know, I should have just kept things moving. And granted, I wasn't ready for it. You know, like I didn't feel the need to date and stuff, but I definitely was very much so in my head, you know, like I cried a lot because I was like, what did I do? Oh my God. Also, one of his friends reached out to me. This was wild. This was really wild on Instagram. We were never friends on Instagram or anything. His friend, not obviously not him. His friend, and he was like, I don't know why he did that because we loved you. And I kind of just like in my head, I was just like, thank you so much. Like that was sweet of you. And I kept it at that. In my head, I was just like, first of all, I don't know if like he's with you. And I hate to think things like this, right? It's like that's like trust issues there too. It's like, is he with you? But also if this is like genuine, like, yeah, because we played video games and it was great. Like like I don't know. It kind of it was a weird thing. But so it made me realize that like communication wise, I should have done better. You know, that is one thing. Like I definitely should have done better. I should have said like, this is what I want, and instead of just letting it go on for that long. You know, we were very clear in what we wanted though. Like he wanted to be with me, I wanted to be with him, and we were ready to meet each other's, you know, friends and all this stuff. But with those things, you know, I just kind of let it slide because I was just like happy to somewhat be with somebody. You know, like I was just happy about it. So I didn't want to be the crazy person, you know, and to just say all those things. But I've learned so quickly. There have been two guys that I've dated in quarantine who have just like really changed that for me, where their communication was just so on point, and then my communication was on point with them, so it worked, you know, like it works for the time being. You know, we're not together now, but also because of that I still talk to them, you know, like we're fine with communication because like we just laid everything out on the table and it was fine, you know, and it's been fine, you know, and I think that that's so important. So even for myself, you know, like I tell guys now straight up, I'm like, while I'm looking for something serious, I also do understand the dating game of like getting to know somebody. Like I do understand that. And that's how I feel about that. And I think like for me, I have saved myself from a few people who were just in it for sex. Like
Yeah.
even yeah, and then there's been a guy, who he didn't want a girlfriend and like said it, said it,
Yeah.
and then we just moved on from there. I mean, like, what can you do? Like, you can't force somebody to want to be with you, but you can at least say how you feel about it. And while I could have easily said like, okay, cool, like, I'm just in it for sex too, like, I wasn't. I
Right.
wasn't, so I'm not gonna do that. And I think that while I know a lot of girls and even some of my friends who are scared to kind of admit that, you guys, I
Hmm.
have guy friends who are sometimes scared to admit that to a girl, that they're like, oh crap, I really like them. So I've
Yeah.
learned how to be a straight shooter. I've learned to just how to be like a straight shooter with that.
I mean, it's easier said than done for sure. And it's scary in a sense to be that upfront and honest with someone because that means that you're being upfront and honest with yourself
Yeah.
and that accepting like this might not be my person. I think we romanticize a lot, we the collective we, but also you and me, romanticize on like the first, second, third day, like, oh my god, it was like this and it was like that. So like this is how the rest of our lives are gonna look. This is the painted picture. And you can't really anticipate what that future picture will be. I think it's so important to like live in the moment, take things for what they
Definitely.
are in the moment, and don't make any additional assumptions because you are not a mind reader and people are not mind readers. People aren't going to assume Alyssa prefers communication like this, that, or the other if they don't know. And then it's just a big old guessing game.
Yeah.
And like, it's not being, I think, like people are afraid of being too forward, too aggressive, too this, that, the other. And to my point earlier, like when it's right. And whoever your right match is going to be receptive to how you communicate what you feel and what you think and like the tempo and pace and timing at which you communicate that.
Yeah.
I also think to go back to your ghosting story that like the amount of energy someone is giving you should be reflected in the amount of energy you're giving them.
Yes.
Not only directly like attention or communication or whatever, but also mental energy is a huge part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't guess if someone's sitting there all day thinking about you and like, okay, I'm going to text her at 2 p.m. on Thursday, blah, blah, blah. But I can 95% guarantee you that someone is not thinking of that. That when they want to text you, they're going to text you. And I think that we should all like try to do the same. Don't
Yeah.
be so in your head about the right time of day. If this, if it's raining or sunny or windy or whatever, like,
Yeah.
don't take anything else into consideration other than like, hey, I like this person. I'm going to text them. And like, I was in a situation where I really like hit it off with a pen pal. I'm gonna admit it was a pen pal, so like it wasn't necessarily real. Things started to get like deeper than just flirty texting and like, oh, I like this show, blah blah blah. And then I definitely
you said
felt,
you said blah 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 like 3 times.
yeah, casual. And then I felt the distancing, and I just laid it out there. Hey, like he wasn't in the same city that I am in at the time, and I was like, hey, I would let me know when you're back. Would love to grab a drink or something to that effect. Totally put the ball in his court. Like, I get it. We're not in the same city right now, but like when you come back, because I know you're coming back because you told me you're coming back. Let me know. We'll grab a drink. As for right now, like I don't need to be wasting any more time thinking about you because you're not thinking about me. And that's okay. And I'm fine with that. It doesn't hurt me. I'm busy. You're busy. We're, again, not in the same physical city. We're not going to go on a date tomorrow. But when there's a chance that we could, I'd be down and I'd be game for that.
Yeah. I, Everything you just said, very on point. Very on point. It's kind of just like, no, of course, of course. It again, communication's a huge thing that I learned about. I even oh, okay, a big thing that I also noticed about myself is sometimes I get overwhelmed when I look at my phone. Like I now have
It's hard being as popular as Alyssa is, that. It's so hard when
and the middle
everyone's
fingers
just
and the
trying
middle fingers go
to be your
up.
friend, when you have so many friends, when everyone loves you. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Middle fingers all day, all day. I do get overwhelmed when I look at my phone. I actually had to take off like my Instagram notifications, right? And that's not always due to popularity, as Hannah as Hannah said before.
I mean, our group chat is popping on Instagram.
Oh yeah, no. Our group
chat.
I will say our group chat is wild on Instagram. Yeah, but I now have my pelvic page, right? So I have that, and there's definitely a lot going on there too. And I kid you not, I think I like one day I looked at my phone and I just like started shaking, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I want to answer everybody back, but I also need to get my patient notes done, and I need to send out like their home programs, like their homework to do. I need to do all these things, and I was just like, oh my god. And I was seeing somebody at the time, and I was just like, I am so overwhelmed. And he was like, okay, so do what you need to do to calm yourself down, and he wasn't, it wasn't in a way where he was just like relax. He was like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, what are you gonna do about it, right? Like, fix it. And then even with that too, right? I said to him, I was just like, okay, there are times where because he was definitely like a rapid texter, like he would answer back right away, which is cool, like he works from home and stuff, like he would answer me back always. So I said to him, I was just like, listen, like I see patients and stuff, so I don't have my phone out, like I don't, and I might use my Mac and stuff to like write my notes when I'm with them, but like I'm not texting, I'm not doing that type of stuff. So I let him know that, and he was just like, cool. He was like, don't worry. He was like, like I'm on my computer and I'm able to answer you back quickly because I'm working from home. But don't worry, like you have patience, like it's fine. Yeah. Whereas I have had guys who I had a guy get mad about that. And he was like, if we're going to see each other, oh my God, ew, I just burped. He was like, if we're going to see each other, then I want to be able to talk to you when I want. And I was just like,
that sounds a little controlling. I mean, listen, I was going to say I appreciate the honesty that like he was saying, like when I text you, like like I'm texting you, I would love to hear back, but like the fact then it took a very controlling turn, which is a whole other topic for another day, I think.
Got it.
But like, listen, he's being upfront about his communication style. He can't dictate your communication style, but what he can say is like, hey, like I'm really looking for someone that's that I could talk to all day, and like Alyssa, you're not that girl, so like you're not his match. Like
right. And even with that, like I do have patience, so and there are times where I have 4 or 5 in a row, and where after maybe the second patient, like maybe I'll look at my phone and like I'll try to answer you back like quickly, or if I can, but I always, especially if I'm talking to somebody, I'm just like, listen, I have a super busy day. Text me whenever you want and I'll answer you back when I'm ready, and when I can.
Yeah. And I think that's like a part of the whole pandemic dating piece is that like I assume that people are working from home unless I know that they're not. So like he's expecting you to match his communication style, clearly ignorant of the fact that like you're a frontline worker, you're going into work, you're seeing patients, like you're not going to be on your phone all day. But I also have friends that like before the pandemic, they were at corporate jobs where like there were rules about being on your phone, and from like 9 to 5, with the exception of their lunch break, like they couldn't sit at their desk and text all day. And you wouldn't do that if your boss was like a few desks down from you. So like let's again be a little more patient and understanding of the fact that like it's definitely a plus in this work from home world where like I can go for a walk in the middle of I mean, I could do that before too, but like there's a lot more flexibility in terms of like how you spend your time and
Yeah.
what you're doing with the time and if you're sending a text or whatever. But like don't take it for granted. And like to the communication piece of it all, like I've had someone say to me, and like the overwhelming part, like I get it that like it can be super overwhelming when like you want to talk to someone but you're working long days. And like I am fortunate that I have flexibility in my job where like I can answer a text here and there or like scroll through Instagram, send my friends a meme, whatever it is, I can find those times throughout the day. But I understand that not everyone can. And I've had someone say to me, like, I've gotten overwhelmed about the fact that, like, I don't want to give you half assed responses when we're texting, but also, like, I'm busy with work and now I'm spending time with my family and I'm not on my phone all day. And now I'm, like, spiraling out of control here because I don't want it to fizzle out. But at the same time, I, like, don't know if I can, like, make the time commitment and investment that I would like to.
Sure. And I also think that goes into like mental health during this time too. Like some people really just can't. Like they just can't, and that's something to understand as well. I even remember I had a day, this was like over the summer, and like I went for a walk with one of my good friends from PT school and his wife. They just had a baby, and we went for this long walk, and I just said to myself, I'm like, oh my god, just like leave your phone, just like leave your phone like in your car. And just hang out with your crew. I think that was a huge thing for even us this summer, with like our friends from high school. We were just like, this is the most we've hung out in a really long time.
10 years.
We've had our like circle, during this time. And I remember getting back to my phone, and there were two guys that I was talking to at this time, but one of them, one of them ended up lasting longer, and I said, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like I was just with my friend, because it had been like 5 hours, I think, like I was away from my phone, and which it was good. It was a good mental health break. And he was just like, Alyssa, no. He's like, no, in a good way. He goes, Alyssa.
I just made such a face when she said that.
Hannah's face was terrifying just now, and she was about to like punch this guy.
I was disgusted.
Yeah, she was about to punch him. He goes, Alyssa, no, do whatever you need to do. He was like, it's Sunday. He was like, it's Sunday and it's beautiful out. Like, don't apologize to me. And he was like, answer me back when you're ready. And that was that. And it's just like communication like that, I'm all about, all about. And I honestly feel like I could talk about dating all day. I
know. I feel like this has been like 6 hours long. I don't know. We can always revisit this. I know we'll have more stories to come.
Should we do like a part 2? Because I think a part 2 might be great.
Maybe. I feel like I gotta get back into my dating phase.
This is gonna force you to get back into dating.
A bit of a hiatus. I leaned into the fact that, like, we have Passover coming up, and my sister-in-law's having a baby, so I'm like, I can't date anyone.
And the cycle,
pandemic,
and the cycle continues, right?
In conclusion, I think we have a few takeaways here.
Yeah,
I think there's the fact that dating during a pandemic is hilariously weird in like the best and worst ways. I think it forces you to learn about your communication style, other people's communication styles. I think it forces you to like lean into qualifying or disqualifying potential matches a lot quicker. What else did we talk about? Ghosting. People still gonna ghost. The ghosts are still floating around.
Ghosts gonna ghost. Ghosts gonna ghost all day.
Ghosted.
All day.
And at the end of the day, you just have to do like what feels right for you at that time. Because if I've learned anything over the past year, it's that you cannot predict the future at all. I don't think any of us could have predicted what the past year has been. I don't think any of us could have predicted a year ago that we still would be in the same place that we are, where we are right now. But with all that being said, I think that I have learned to have an appreciation for the present and to take things for what they are in the here and now, and to stop worrying so much about the future, because what will come will come. And you just have to be down for the ride.
Yeah. Well, okay, first of all, that was like a great conclusion because I was going to ask you to give a piece of advice anyway. So that was.
Does that count?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And that was
That's
perfect.
the end of my essay.
Yeah.
That's the end of my DBQ, my document-based question.
Okay, and I'm the nerd because I play video games.
Kind.
Get
You're
out.
The nerd. I'm the geek. They're different but the same, and it's why we got through high school together.
And so many years together. But wait. I just have a piece of advice as well.
Oh,
just
yes,
because
please.
I think that this has like really, really helped me in general, right? I've said communication at least 50 times on this podcast. Like
when we play it back, can we like take shots of tequila for every time that you know?
Every time.
I think that would be unsafe. Yeah. No one do that. Yeah. Please don't play that drinking game. I do not advise.
Do not advise that in the slightest. Communication is just so huge, right? I've been through so many different relationships, situationships, whatever you want to call them, where I didn't communicate as much as I should. And I think I finally learned, and I've even taken this into friendships, my work life, everything, where I'm just communicating a lot better and I'm saying how I feel, trying to as much as I can without feeling bad about it. I feel bad about everything usually. But yeah, I think that is like one of the biggest things is just communicating. And then also to save yourself. If somebody tells you something, right? If they tell you that and now this is more so advice to like even just like some friends, right? Because I've definitely taken this advice and I've kind of just like rolled with it in my life. If somebody tells you they don't want something, believe them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think
you can't force anyone to want anything.
Exactly. You can't force anybody to want anything. Now, if they come around or something and they're kind of messing with your head, like that's not your fault, right? Like that's different.
But also, do you want that person? Like,
right?
You have to think of it in that sense. Like,
definitely. And I think that's been happening a lot, especially in like, look at this Joker from before quarantine, like what if I was in a different headspace? What if I was in a different headspace? And what if I was just like, know what? Let me see. But I'm so happy that I kept it moving, right? So instead of just dwelling on the person who is so wishy-washy, like go for the person that's willing to do whatever they can for you. So that's kind of what I would say with that, right? But also like have fun. You know what I mean? Like like nothing has to be serious all the time. Like it doesn't have to be that way. But if you have your lines, for me, I am not dating just for sex, right? And that's how I feel about that. So I have my lines drawn with that. And I understand the dating game. You have to get to know somebody before you're in a relationship with them. So sometimes when it's just like laid out right away, like, okay, you want a relationship, so do I. Like, let's try dating. Sometimes that's it's too overthinking. Just like enjoy your time with someone, and then that goes back to Hannah's piece of advice, like enjoy that moment and see where it brings you. And if it brings you to something good, that's awesome. And if not, then it doesn't.
And again, we are not experts. We are experienced.
Clearly not. Experienced
but not the
dating.
Experts. This is just our opinion based on our experiences. And I think that's all we got.
That is all we got. Thank you for being on here, Hen.
This was fun. It just felt like a normal Tuesday, just catching up with you. I'd do it again.
Perfect. Part 2. Love it.
Let's do it. Now I gotta get out there.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the All Things Pelvic Pod. Have questions, concerns, comments? Want to share your story? Remember to follow me on Instagram at _pelvic floor playbook. DM me, share my stuff, like it, and let me know what you think. As a reminder, this is not medical advice by any means, so don't be out here doing a bunch of nonsense in these streets. If you need me and want a vibe, you know where to find me. I'm out.